All right, friends, it's T. I'm back with a new video, man. It's on Revival Fitness. All right, I'm going to do a video on the Revival Fitness about the gym lifting, recruiting fitness slave himself. Revival Fitness, the lifting slave. Yes, the gym slave. Okay. So Revival Fitness says push-pull legs is dead, brah. I was right. I think it goes a lot more than just that in this video, but okay. Gonna do a reaction video. Let's see what he says.
Chest up, shoulders back.
Oh yeah.
This is a Revival Fitness, your home for gains and brains.
Look, I'm gonna tell you my honest opinion. This guy's the stupidest lifter I've ever seen on the internet, okay? This whole thing, him going to competitions, bodybuilding, whatever, he's never built any muscle. He's not building any muscle. He's not doing anything other than losing body fat. Like a good majority of people out there, they lose body fat, then they pose in the mirror to show themselves. All they did was lose body fat and water.
And we have some breaking news here, kids. Push-pull legs tragically has passed.
Then you know what he does? He pumps glycogen into his muscle because he eats an artificial diet. Artificial diet, food, creates artificial muscles. Carbohydrates load water. A lot of water in your muscles. You can hold a lot of this glycogen in there, believe me, a lot of it. Like science says.
Away.
There's two types of muscle growth, myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic. This guy is growing sarcoplasmic, and it's easy to tell.
As of, well, it says here 7 days ago, which means it was September 18th, 2024, the day that Renaissance Periodization published this video. Push-pull legs split. You don't need the comma after legs is dead. Let the record show I was on here roasting PPL, brah, a while ago. I mean, I was talking about the problems with push-pull legs years ago, but it's always going to be, you could say, the most...
What does push-pull legs have to do with bodybuilding? Bodybuilding is about eccentric movements and getting an adaptation. That's it. Because muscle has an M&D size limit. I have no clue at all what any of these people are talking about. And when they do talk about weird stuff, like whatever the hell they're talking about, these words they throw around, I still don't understand anything they're talking about because that's not based on bodybuilding. They're exercise channels, and exercise does not build muscles, and nor does getting a stronger is going to get me a bigger. It's not. Unless you, of course, if you're lifting a stronger, but you're eating a lot of glycogen, that's going to get you bigger, nice and big and fat.
Popular split among general gym bros, only to be contested with the bro split itself. That's basically the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And I do actually have a PPL split available on my site.
This is absolute garbage. This is all garbage because this is not based on EIMD training. And bodybuilding is based on exercise-induced muscle damage training. That training is based on muscle damage training, that exercise. It isn't based on, I got to get good at lifting and I got to be an endurance athlete in the gym lifting so I can eat artificial fucking carbohydrate drug-induced diet to load more glycogen in my muscle to pretend I have muscles. And oh, I have to have a low body fat. Whatever.
Along with 5 other programs as well, for novices and intermediates. My programs have been field tested by hundreds of people. You can see testimonials on my site as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb people on there. What do you expect? I'm not interested in any of this. This is what he has to say.
Morning session and an evening session.
No thanks.
In quotation marks.
On getting jacked, you told me, listen, this new meta-analysis came out.
One thing, I think Mike might be the only guy that blinks more than I do when recording videos. When I edit my videos, man, I see how much I blink. It makes me sick. Like, I almost consider wearing sunglasses when I record, which is kind of douchey. But, man, I think it's because I have all these lights on in front of me, and I think whenever you're just kind of riffing off the head, you tend to blink because you're thinking as you talk. But, man, it's annoying.
And it's kind of about how to get jacked in general, or training for getting jacked.
You want to get jacked like these guys, just eat lots of potatoes. They're artificial. That's not a human diet, but you can eat them. And they'll blow your muscles up artificially, sarcoplasmic.
But it has a few unique features that it also has training frequency recommendations as well as volume.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the new meta-analysis.
As of this video, when this comes out, there should be a preprint of the meta-analysis on training frequency and muscle hypertrophy.
So we're getting the shit early.
This happened in the video I reacted to with
Frequency and muscle hypertrophy. Muscle hypertrophy has an M&D size limit beyond where the satellite cell can donate any more extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. Per muscle cell needs these fucking nuclei, get it? To keep growing, and they're not going to grow anymore because, yes, fibers are highly nucleated, but they have an M&D size limit, and so they reach this myonuclear domain size limit. Yeah, and so that's it. They can't support further muscle growth to satellite cell unless because it's not donating any more nuclei. Another thing is when the myoblasts fuse with those fibers, once they proliferate, they're in proliferation. Let's say differentiation, proliferation. Once they fuse with that fiber, they can no longer split and divide anymore. So if you keep lifting in the gym, they don't split and divide because they're post-mitotic, these nuclei.
Mike a while ago with Eric Helms. They talked about bulking is dead, as they called it. You can't have somebody just even put up like a graphic of the study.
You can't have hyperplasia in bodybuilding. You can't have hypertrophy without hyperplasia. You need more cells to continue to support further muscle growth. Without those additional cells, there's zero growth there. Doesn't matter, you can eat forever. The only thing you're going to grow is get fat. You're going to get fat muscles and a fat head, and then another fat too, and a belly and whatever else.
Like they just say, oh, it's by whoever in colleagues. They don't even reference it fully. And then they just start talking about it. Can you at least show us the paper? Like, is that too much to ask?
Frequency seems to have a neutral to slightly positive.
People don't even realize this. Your muscles can get fat. They get marbleized. They could get fat. Eating a carbohydrate diet. Eating carbs can fatten your. Look at cows. When they talk about they're eating the wrong food and then they're marbleized, they get fat. Inside the muscle, fat starts to build up. So your muscles are building up fat, they're getting fat, and they're loading glycogen in there. They're getting fat and loading glycogen. You're just getting fat, dude. You just don't even realize what the fuck is going on. Eating fucking fake food as a human being, as a carnivore, eating fake fucking garbage shit will create garbage. If you eat garbage in, then that's the garbage that will stay in. You understand me? Garbage in, garbage out, dude. Get it? Eat garbage all day and you'll be garbage. This guy looks like garbage, Mike Israetel. Look at him, garbage muscles. He looks like garbage. Even if he is injecting garbage, fucking injectable plant genetics in himself, these hormones or whatever. They're toxic too. They're highly toxic. What do you think the toxicity is doing to him? His brain, how he's functioning. He's going crazy on every channel. They have, they're doing videos. They do reaction videos to Mike Israetel. They keep talking about all this nut stuff that's going on with him. He's nuts.
Effect on hypertrophy. So as you
Volume equated or not?
volume equated.
If you have
Listen to me. That isn't the hormones that are causing him to go nuts. It's the toxicity in the injecting of the plant genetics, the hormones. Get it, dude? They're highly toxic. That's why people are suffering from mental illness out there, because they're on these crazy diets. They eat more plant food than they should be eating because they can't stop eating it instead of eating meat. And so they're all suffering from mental illness out there. Many people suffer from mental illness. When you run into the police, watch out. They eat fake diets, dude. They love salads. And they go to these places. They make them fast food, this, that. And they eat all this fast food stuff like fucking French fries dipped in oil, greasy oil, crap, shit, this, that, seed oil. They suffer from mental illness. Look at all the YouTube videos on their cops coming up, killing, harassing, doing things to people. And then people doing crazy things too, back and forth to the police, each other and everything, because they are all suffering from mental illness. Your government is suffering from mental illness. Society suffering from it. Government officials, workers, people are all suffering depression, this, that. They're all going through all these psychological problems because plant foods and anything made from plants, these engineered man-made plants, are toxic, and the toxicity is doing that to you. That's why when people say when they get off, they eliminate it from their natural diet as a carnivore, they eliminate the plants and just keep eating the meat, they notice they become a normal person again. Get it? Yeah, dude, yeah.
Say 12 sets per week. You can do them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 sets. Or you can do them Monday, Thursday, 6 sets.
He just gave the example of a 3 times a week or 2. You could also even say 1. Say that's a bro split. You do 12 sets for a given muscle group on a bro split day.
The bro splits. But what are they going to do? Why are you doing bro splits? What is the purpose? Are you trying to rehash this damage to come back so you can support further muscle growth? Get the satellite cell to support further muscle growth by damaging the muscle fibers, by activating the satellite cell to donate more of its nuclei to support further muscle growth? How is that working for you? Science says unaccustomed, untrained, and unfamiliar forms are what activate the satellite cell. It doesn't say bro splits, fucking lifting splits, jogging splits, or any fucking things, bro. What's the matter with you?
I think without hearing their explanations just right now, the biggest benefit of breaking it up more frequently is going to be the fatigue.
You know, this guy's just as stupid as Mike Israetel and this Dr. Fool Omar Wolf Coaching. Periodization, Renaissance. This revival fitness guy is just as dumb as all of these people. There's so many dumb people like this out there that you're dealing with.
If you're going to do 12 sets for one muscle group in one day, let's assume you do 3 sets per exercise, 4 exercises. After that second exercise, even sooner, depending on the muscle group and how heavy the lifts are and everything, you're going to be pretty tired. Whereas if you break that up into even 2 times a week, I tend to do that right now, you can essentially...
Why do you do it? Explain to us, why are you doing that? And it's making you tired. But why are you doing a bro split? What is it going to accomplish? It's going to build a muscle? What kind of muscle are you building with a bro split? Well, it ain't myofibrillar growth, too. That's for sure.
Split that fatigue in half. Same total volume per week, but you're fresher, and that freshness is going to let you lift more weight, progressively overload easier.
And what you're saying is the effect is either like, nothing to write home about, or like, a little bit of a boost, even if the volume doesn't go up. What do you ascribe that to, hypothetically?
Now, the counter argument that a lot of more old school minded people make is that you want to do everything on the same day, or most things on one day.
Yeah, there's a reason old school people say do everything on the same day. The reason why you want to do that, because of the repeated bout effect phenomena. You're looking to get, the only thing us bodybuilders are concerned about is going to a gym and getting an adaptation. That's it. So we're trying to go there to get a new adaptation every time we go back to the gym. We're not frequent lifters. We're periodic lifters. You understand me? Because we know the mechanics behind lifting. It's about an adaptation, and once we get an adaptation, we have to go through a repair and a remodeling. That takes quite a while, and we want to be in positive nitrogen balance that entire week while we're repairing and remodeling. And then we'll figure out what we'll do the following week when we come back after repair and remodel. We'll figure out how to eke out another adaptation. Muscle building isn't 10 years. You do it in a very short lifespan. It's very short and very quick. You try to get as many of these adaptations as you can. Your body gets built very quickly. And I mean rapid, fast. It's crazy how fast.
Because that fatigue is what enhances the muscle growth. So they'll say like, oh, by the time you're on that 3rd or 4th exercise and you're really exhausted and you're still pushing yourself, that's when you're really building.
You're really exhausted, and then you're really building what?
The muscle. So
you're really building the muscle when you get fatigued? Then this must be sarcoplasmic, because I can only believe that the only muscle they're building is sarcoplasmic in a gym, because that's not based on EIMD exercise. That's not based on muscle damage. On myofibrillar growth. Myofibrillar growth is based on EIMD training. That is an EID training. That's not an adaptation. An adaptation means damage. He said growing muscles. I say damaging muscles. I'm going in there to damage muscles. He's going in there to grow muscles? How does a muscle grow in a gym, bro? From a weight? This is crazy.
There's differing camps on that. I'm not sure what the science formally says, and even then there's all kinds of branches of the science, right?
What do you mean what the science says? The science is in front of you all the time. It's everywhere. What are you talking about?
There's a variety of things. Mechanistically, whenever you train a muscle, that growth curve response only lasts so long. Mm-hmm.
You train a muscle to do what? Doggy tricks? To go fetch your shoes? I'm not doing any of that. I'm damaging my muscles. It's myofibrillar growth. That's what bodybuilding's about. I don't understand anything these people are talking about. Are you talking about something cosmetic, phony? because you can't further muscle growth. So you're doing sarcoplasmic training. Is that it?
So even if you blast a muscle with more and more volume in a single bout, that
Myofibrillar hypertrophy. Oh, he said it. Oh, man, I need to take a shot of something. Maybe Tren.
muscle growth essentially will only take so long.
Several days.
Correct.
Not
Yeah, if there's an adaptation, it will. If there was an adaptation in myofibrillar damage, then it will take several days to repair and remodel. Yes, definitely. Yes. Okay, but I don't even think he's even saying that.
8 days, not 7 days. Probably not.
No, if it's damaged, then if you got an adaptation, it'll take. You could say 8 days, sometimes 14 days. It depends. If you're in positive nitrogen balance, the shortest I could do it is 7 days.
6 or 5.
Correct.
More
So
like 2 to 3.
Correct. So if you're only training a muscle once a week, you're missing out on 3 or 4 days out of that week where you're not growing that
At
muscle.
least neutral, and then you grow it.
What? You're missing out not growing that muscle the rest of the week. What are you talking? Growing it what? Sarcoplasmic or myofibrillars? It takes time to grow myofibrillars. It takes a fucking week to grow a myofibrillar and a bunch of stuff. What are you talking about? Sarcoplasmic, that can happen in a day. In 24 hours, less than 24 hours. Glycogen synthesis.
Again, and at least neutral. Missed opportunity to get more growth.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
To be clear, the effect is somewhere between next to none, and there's a slight positive effect.
Slight positive.
So if we want to maximize muscle growth, we probably want to err on the side of training your muscle a bit more often.
All right, notice what he just said there. He
If
said,
you want more muscle growth, you need to train the muscle more often. No, if you want an adaptation and you want more myofibrillar growth, it's the less frequently you train it, the better off you are. That's the whole point. It's an overworking of an untrained muscle. I said an overworking. It's an overworking of an untrained muscle. But I didn't say you being an untrained athlete. You understand me? In a gym, untrained. The word untrained. They all mean the same. Untrained, unaccustomed, and unfamiliar forms get this damage. It means all the same thing. If I say unaccustomed exercise, does that mean you're untrained doing that exercise? Yes. But does that mean that you're an untrained person? No, absolutely not. Look, if you've never done 100 repetitions straight with a 50-pound weight, are you trained doing that? No, absolutely not. So that you're untrained doing that. You understand me? So if I do a study and I say I have 5 people, untrained people doing this exercise, that doesn't mean they're not athletes. Get it? They're just untrained doing that 100 rep set. And then I have a group of people. Let's say they were trained. They're trained. They actually did it. Okay, so we want to see what the outcome will be with the trained group that already did it previously sometime, and then this group who hasn't done it. Because they've never done it. They never got an adaptation. We want to see how much muscle growth they will get between each other doing the exact same thing. Now, are they all eating the same amount of food? Are they all resting the same amount? No, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Get it? And I don't know how hard they went in those 100 rep sets. But that's what the study's about. We want to find out. We're doing a collective. We're just doing something because the government is paying us to do it. Get it? So we have nothing better to do in the lab. So we're going to test these people and see what the outcome will be. So we get paid. It's a job, dude. We're making money. Who cares?
it ranges from like no benefit to slightly positive. Like I mentioned earlier, in relation to what? Can we see?
Man, that's why when you type in Google, a unique feature of untrained muscles, a unique feature of untrained individuals is that they get stiff and sore the very next day due to what? Muscle damage. It doesn't say trained muscles get damaged, ever. Trained muscles, these guys are telling you that they're trained muscles, they're building muscles as trained lifters. What are they building? Sarcoplasmic.
See the studies? Can we see the data? You know, do we have any charts here? Do we have any reference? You see what I mean? Like, they're just shooting the shit
You don't need it. It's obvious already on the face of it what's going on there.
here about these studies, but we don't see the studies. But truly, I just can't believe like a channel that is so hammered into science as RP is.
Dude, they already know they exist. He talked about it in the beginning already. And anyways, it doesn't really matter. They're just having a discussion.
And we don't even have graphics or anything. Like, what are your editors doing? On top of that, what are you guys doing? Like,
Man, bodybuilding is not that complex, you moron. There's two types of lifting or bodybuilding. Muscle growth. There's myofibrillar growth and there's fucking sarcoplasmic. Will sarcoplasmic hypertrophy your muscles? Yes, absolutely. Is it artificial muscle growth? Yes.
is Mike, he has an iPad. Is he going to pull up something and show us?
Because there's nothing to be lost, but there is potentially a small effect to be gained.
Train a muscle a little bit more frequently, but with the same volume. In those extra sets on the fewer sessions at the end, you're kind of a little bit lit tired.
That's right. That's what I just mentioned earlier.
Maybe your stimulus isn't as great as if you were more fresh.
I'm aware of a upcoming analysis
Oh, another one. Oh, boy.
on the topic of per session volume. Most of our studies are on high volumes, but training a muscle 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
We have very few studies on frequencies of like 4, 5, 6 times a week per muscle.
I don't know in what circumstance somebody's going to be training a muscle 5, 6 times a week. Unless it's like teenage.
There's a lot of crazy people that'll do that, trust me. Like you yourself right there is doing that.
Spamming lateral raises, or guys in their room just doing push-ups and
whatever.
sit-ups every day. Some guys do like chin-ups every day.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be like, oh, I blew up my back doing chin-ups every single day. It's like, okay, maybe you did. Maybe you could have got the same thing just doing it once or twice a week.
With a previous analysis by Krieger, James Krieger, for example, on per session volume,
Again, he just cited another study. We don't know the name of it, any other information.
with a bit of speculation and a bit of theory crafting,
Theory crafting. Yeah, it describes a lot of the so-called science today, that's for sure.
leads me to think, practically speaking, if you're training with really high volumes, if we want to maximize that area under the curve, we're better off spreading that high volume across more sessions
I agree.
because we get such strong diminishing returns on a per session basis.
Yes.
So if you're doing, say, 20, 30 plus sets for a muscle, fractionally speaking, counting both direct volume and indirect,
All right, he just said 20 to 30 sets a week. Truly, man, I don't know who on earth is doing up to 30 sets a week if you're training truly hard. One,
Man, myonuclei and these fibroblast cells, they are whatever. The nuclei are postmitotic. They do not split and divide. So it doesn't matter your bro splits, how many times a week you lift. Myonuclei are fucking postmitotic. They do not split and divide and increase in number. Okay, dude? You understand me? So you lifting in an adapted state, there's no more growth. There's no more growth. The satellite cell has to donate a nuclei to support further muscle growth. So that's the only way to get these nuclei. The satellite cell has to donate them. And guess what? He ain't donating them anymore. You want to know why? Because during that hypertrophic process, it's beyond where it could donate any more extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. Oh, you want reference? Look it up, man. Myonuclear domain size limit. Okay.
you can't do that, especially bigger muscles like the legs. Good luck with that, no matter how many guys in the comments pretend like they're doing so.
Bigger muscles in the legs. You mean more muscle fibers in the legs. So more potential for them to get bigger because they're highly nucleated. Yes, yes. But you need more nuclei to support further muscle growth. They're already massed up, pretty much.
Well, bro, okay, sure you do, bro. Second of all, even, we get to a time component. Do you have anything else to do? I mean, if you're like Mike and you can train all day, every day for a living, and then you can just kind of sit down, record videos, and then people do your thumbnails, the editing, the audio, all that other stuff, maybe. Even though, all you guys watching, you may have a visual of yourself as a so-called bodybuilder, but you're not. Even if you're just obsessed with your physique on a recreational level, something's got to give eventually. I mean, it's going to interfere with your life. A lot of lifters, though, that consume this type of content, they don't really have lives. This type of content, they don't really have lives outside of just eating and training and sleeping and watching videos about eating and training and sleeping.
Did they look at unconstrained volume as well?
they did not. However, they looked at a variety of potential moderators. So they performed subgroup analyses based on training status, whether they were more untrained or at least slightly trained.
There's another problem I talked about before. Very, very loose definitions. We took novice lifters. Okay, what does that mean? I've seen a few studies say, like, we took so-called experienced male trainees, or they'll call them even advanced lifters, bodybuilders, whatever, and they'll be like, whose estimated 1 rep max on the barbell back squat was 275 pounds or something, and you're like, that's your definition of advanced. Often they'll go by time frame too. So they'll say, oh, these subjects are so-called advanced lifters because they've all reported, once again, reported, very key because you can't prove this stuff just based on what people tell you in that context. They've all self-reported to have been training for 8 years. That doesn't mean you're advanced. Most people who've been in the gym 8 years are still novice level in terms of their strength and their development. Lots and lots and lots.
Who the hell goes 10 years to a gym and they're not advanced or whatever? You don't have to go 10 years to try to build some muscle. You just need some nuclei. That's it. That's all you need. Some nuclei, some myofibrillar growth, whatever, a bunch of stuff, okay? And contractile proteins and things and whatever, okay? You just need a bunch of stuff to build these real muscles, okay? And it's you could do it in roughly a couple of months. Couple of months, that's it.
Of confounding factors when it comes to all this stuff, and people just completely wipe that away.
It's based on an adaptation principle. That's all you have to know. Muscles are based on an adaptation. You need to get as many adaptations as you can eke out in your workout sessions as possible to build to support further to get the satellite cell to support further muscle growth by donating its nuclei and a bunch of stuff, okay? And that repair and then remodeling. That's all you need to do. That's it. That's it. You have to get over the repeated bout effect phenomena. How do you do that? By shooting for an adaptation. And how do you do that? Because widespread, it's unaccustomed exercise is known to cause what? Widespread muscle damage. I never heard that a trained muscles are known to get widespread muscle damage. Never heard of that. But I know that trained muscles get sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. That's a known fact because 6 weeks of training, the one I brought up before, it's attributed to what? A lot of their training, high volume, sarcoplasmic. In trained individuals get sarcoplasmic. Why is that? See what I mean? Look, I'll bring this up just to prove it to you, okay? So, 6 week right here. So, muscle fiber hypertrophy in response to 6 weeks of high volume resistance training in what? Trained young men is largely attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. What is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? So, hold on a second. Sarco.
According to Medical News Today, it contains adenosine triphosphate, glycogen, creatine phosphate, and water. During a workout, more fluid moves to the muscles to provide energy. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy refers to the increase in volume of this fluid. It can make muscles appear larger, but it does not increase strength.
That's right, because fake.
According to Nuvo Vivo, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is a kind of artificial muscle growth wherein muscles increase its size visually by increasing the amount of fluid it can hold, but is not increasing the density of the muscle's fibers.
Yeah, so that's what trained muscles get, right? Trained muscles get this. They get sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, a type of artificial muscle growth. That's what trained people get. It's attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Yeah, man. Now, what do untrained muscles get?
According to NCBI, while concentric contractions initiate movements, eccentric contractions slow or stop them. A unique feature of eccentric exercise is that untrained subjects become stiff and sore the day afterwards because of damage to muscle fibers.
See that? So untrained subjects, a unique feature of untrained subjects become stiff and sore the day afterward because of what? Damage to muscle fibers. But what do trained people get? Let me see. Here's trained people. What do trained people get? Oh, trained in people that are lifting in the gym, and trained young men, their muscles are what? Largely attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. That's what trained people get. They get sarcoplasmic, our type of artificial muscle growth. Hello. See what I mean, man? All right, let's go back to this video.
Lots and lots and lots of confounding factors when it comes to all this stuff, and people just completely wipe that away.
Yes, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Why don't you bring up any of this on your channel? Why don't you bring up any of the studies that I've ever brought up? I've done videos on you before. Why can't you bring them up yourself?
Most populations in most
The
contexts.
question is this: why can't you understand the difference between myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic? Why don't you even understand how to build muscles? I can't understand that at all whatsoever. None of you people understand shit, jack shit.
Train to failure. As a rough ballpark, train each muscle at least twice a week.
I've been following.
Again, train each muscle twice a week. It's sarcoplasmic. That isn't based on myofibrillar growth. Even science tells you in satellite cell aging, use it or lose it, periodic activation, periodic. It doesn't say chronic activating, get it?
That philosophy pretty much for the past few years. I didn't reference any research. I wasn't sitting there reading through papers or anything, but
Look, you have to ask your question, why do untrained muscles get damaged, but trained muscles get sarcoplasmic? They don't get damaged. Why? Why don't they? Because they're adapted. That's why. So why do untrained muscles get damaged? Because they're unadapted. They're getting an adaptation. Yeah, that's how adaptations work. You understand me? I think people really are confused. You don't understand what an adaptation is. It means something is getting damaged, but then your body will protect from getting any more damage. How does the body protect you from getting any more damage? Well, once it gets the adaptation, it's going to repair and remodel it a lot stronger so it's resilient from further assaults.
I think intuitively
And now you're a comfortable little lifting slave in the gym, building fake strength and fake muscles. Yeah, cool, eh?
you can figure
Only real strength can be achieved by growing more myofibrillars. It's permanent strength. But this strength, it's fake, goes away really quick. It's neurological. And the muscles, they're based on glycogen. So you are an endurance athlete and a lifting slave.
that out just based on the fatigue aspect, like I said. And a lot of proven programs, a lot of the ones I have as well, follow that same style, 2 times a week frequency. I have an old video, you can check it out in the top corner.
So then he brings up a guy on cosmetics like Bumstead, a phony lifter, phony fake muscles, whatever. They're not based on adaptations. It's based on injecting steroids. Just show how he built his body. And please don't say it built chicken and rice and broccoli built this body, dude.
Bum is on the thumbnail. It says,
Because everybody who's eating chicken, broccoli, and rice don't have a body like that. So shut up.
are we wrong about the bro split? And I referenced some
C-Bum is nobody. He's a drug addict. You understand me? He's an injecting using drug addict.
papers there. I don't see there being a drawback of 2 times a week frequency. Kind of like they're saying here, if it's totally neutral, okay, sure. But if anything, there's something to be gained, I would think. Even if it's a minor advantage, right? Everybody talks about optimal all the time. Everybody's about squeaking out that extra 0.01%. So the consistency, the intensity, and the progressive overload is what really matters here.
I would say there's kind of an inflection point where after twice a week, there's maybe a positive effect, but it's very minimal.
So significantly different returns from 1 to 2 versus 2 to 3.
Practically, I would say so. You are better off training each muscle twice a week than once a week.
Yep.
Past that, it's probably a neutral positive effect, but it's a very slight one if there is one.
The more you increase the weekly frequency, the more volume per session is going to have to go down. I typically say 12 sets a week is plenty. I think 16 sets a week for a given muscle group is on the high end in my book, because I push myself pretty darn hard.
So practically, that means that if
Oh,
you
brother, man. Yeah, okay, whatever.
were training 2 days a week, for example, you're someone who doesn't have much time, you should almost certainly be training with full body split.
Yeah, I mean, if you only have 2 days a week, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Likewise, if you're training, say, 4 days a week,
Man, it said in that last report I just did a video, it said that 5 days was not enough. And people who who got this damage and trained within a 3-day period, there's no damage. There's no damage. So, it's not enough. It's not enough. And anyways, you're not getting damaged. So it doesn't really matter. You're adapted, so who cares? You're not going to get damaged. Forget this.
you're likely better off with something like an upper-lower split.
There we go. I've been telling you guys about the upper lower for freaking years now. Flagship program over.
Yeah, a real bodybuilder would do upper lower because he already knows he's not going to do upper and then lower the same day, and it can only happen once. It can only happen in an adaptation. The damage, so you have to be. Oh man, you have to be unadapted to doing these exercises. You have to be untrained to doing these exercises to get a new adaptation.
Here, the baseline template I used to hit the 315 bench and all kinds of other things. And I used that to prepare for my show as well.
Just like with volume, they looked at frequency fractionally. Direct instances of training a muscle, like for example for the biceps, doing bicep curls, would
Did you know you can get this 146 pieces?
direct instance. Indirect instances, where for example doing back training, would still target the biceps, but just not as well, where essentially they counted direct bicep training as one unit of training frequency.
You're training all the muscles. They're all getting trained. They're getting overworked is what they're getting.
For the biceps, and back training is half a unit of training frequency for the biceps.
Yeah, if you want to do sets per week, I've done that as well. Like full sets versus half sets.
Whatever.
You can kind of muddy the waters with that, but just for general counting parameters, I understand doing that.
It would be a lie to say that 16 sets of back work on a Friday
Does nothing.
after a Monday and Wednesday bicep workout doesn't have any more effect on biceps. It would also be a lie to say that it counts for 16 sets of biceps, but it might count for something like 4 to 12.
Like I just said, did you see how broad that range is? 4 to 12, we're talking a 3 times multiplier potentially.
Training a muscle once a week, probably not ideal. But if you modify it a little bit, say instead of just doing Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday shoulders, Thursday legs, and Friday arms, you add in some compound training for your arm day. You do some chin-ups, and you do some bench pressing. Maybe you add a couple of leg exercises on your shoulder day.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, for most muscle groups, you're actually training them 1.5 or 2 times a week.
That is a concept, at least I call it, I think other people have said this too in the past, exercise overlap. This is one of the hidden things about the bros.
This must be new language. Exercise overlap. Overlap what? Exercise. Exercise doesn't cause damage, no adaptation, and exercise, you adapt it, doesn't cause it, and exercise doesn't build muscle. Eating a lot of complex carbohydrates will build it. You could, let's say you go to the gym. You say, I'm going to build muscles by doing this way. Okay, you want to build this sarcoplasmic muscle. But without sufficient amount of glycogen or complex carbohydrates, you're not building that muscle. The only way to build those phony muscles, sarcoplasmic muscles, are eating an artificial diet. You understand me? They talk about it in some channels. Even the guy was talking about this morning. He says something about people that are low on electrolytes. They eat a lot of carbohydrates. The carbohydrates draw a lot of water in there, so you don't need that. Yeah, that's the whole reason. Yeah, but it's a drug. You're drug induced. It's artificial, dude. Whatever.
This is why you may actually get 2 times frequency for given muscles. I would say legs, typically not on the bro split, because legs have their own day and it's all kind of lumped in there. Maybe if you do some type of deadlift on the back day, you get some hamstring and glute too. But most guys doing the bro split, they don't give a shit about training their legs, let alone twice a week, not even 1 time a week. Let's be real. On the typical push-pull legs, I talk to guys all the time. They'll do the push-pull legs the first half. They're going to skip the legs on the second block, guaranteed. They're probably going to skip or at least half-ass the first PPL block when it comes to the legs as well. I mean, guys are always going to find ways to sandbag or just outright avoid their leg training. It's a tale as old as time. It's never going to stop. But say you've got a typical, like he mentioned, Monday's chest, and then Thursday or Friday you do, say, arms. A lot of people on their arm days were going to do something like a close grip bench press. Close grip bench press also works the chest. Maybe at shoulder day you do seated military, dumbbell press, overhead press, whatever it's going to be. That also works the triceps. Back day, you
Okay, whatever.
just the whole thing. They're doing like hack squats, phases. In 90, say 10, 12, 15 sets of chest in one day.
Like whether you're having 3 or 4 meals or 4 or 6 or what have you, doesn't seem to play nearly as large of a role.
This was a number of years ago, I think. Even now, some people might still say this, but they would say, oh, well, you can only absorb 30 grams of protein max or something at one time. I don't know exactly.
Absorb or build muscles. Absorb. I don't know what he's talking about, whatever. Man, these people are just making up stuff. They're wasting your time.
what that was for, maybe to sell protein.
Even
I
if
just can't believe that people are so stupid in this day and age. They don't know anything. They're so dumb.
you just train twice a week.
Realistically, though,
Whatever.
anterior to posterior. But that's what I've been on for a while here.
And I think
Yeah, I think
Scheduling.
I think you've been a lot on something a lot more than that. These guys all have nice channels. My channel's not really nice or pretty. I'm just using a cheap program to make these videos. But like I said, I'm shadow banned by everybody. These fitness guys have reported my channel again. YouTube is against me. They shadow ban my videos. They show my study videos. They pop up sometimes. I go to I've been to some places where you're using their Wi-Fi, and I connect outside. And for some reason, when I go on their Wi-Fi, none of these videos show up, but every other one shows up, but not these slave videos at all.
And other things, I mean, you can. It's really slowing down. One RIR at the most. Some of them you might take to legit failure. I'd say 6 to 8 in that context, but the less close you get to failure, the more you can handle.
I have essentially set a limit of around
Yes, go to failure. That will do it. Okay, yeah. I think that's it. Is that it? That's a shitty video, man.
8 sets, direct sets. You do per week for a muscle. I would add 1 extra day of training. I think that's a rough ballpark and a heuristic I use.
Yes, just add an extra day of training and maybe hope for the best. Yeah, that muscle will get built eventually. Even though it has a domain limit, it reached a ceiling limit. Eventually, maybe the 10th year, maybe the 20th year, it'll fill. Look at Jason Blaha, 25 years, and he's still hoping that one day those muscles will grow. Maybe they will grow one day. How can you spend 25 years on being unsuccessful for 25 years and never growing a muscle? That's just crazy. And people will do this. They're proud to say, "Hey, I've been training in a gym for 40 years or 45 years." Meanwhile, they look nothing. They never built any muscle. What were they training their muscles to do? Nothing. They train them to do nothing, to waste their time, to go to a gym and eat a bunch of chemicals, go home, do a bunch of stuff, spend, accelerated aging, shortening their lifespan and doing weird shit for nothing. When muscle can be built within a few months based on an adaptation principle. That's it. That's it. And the strength and the lifting stays and the size stays. And if you want, you could come to a gym periodically once in a while to try to get a regeneration cycle of these nuclei and proliferate these whatever satellite cells and a bunch of stuff. Okay, dude? Yeah, that's it. But your performance will be very good because you have more type 2 muscle fibers. That performance should stay. And that is a carryover to other sports, myofibular growth, but not sarcoplasmic and not being good at lifting a heavy weight. I'm sorry, it's not a carryover. I'll see you in the next one. See what I mean? You are enhanced when you get bigger, more and bigger, stronger type 2 muscle fibers. They make you bigger, better, stronger, and faster. They're associated with strength, power, speed, and performance. Now, just being a lifting slave is not based on strength, power, speed, and performance. Get it? It just makes you good at lifting that weight. Yeah. Oh, man. I'll see you in the next video. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.